Wow. Joining the Sue Free Show, and I'm so happy to be with you today. It's going to be a great show. See, I just believe it, and I hope you receive it. All right, so we're going to be talking about when you refuse to change, you end up in chains. What do I mean? Sue, what do you mean by that? What I mean is there's so many times where change happens, right? It changes. It's inevitable that change is going to happen. And when it happens, how do you take it? What do you do when there's change? Do you receive it? Do you fight back? What do you do? Because, I don't know, so many times in life, there's things that happen. And I was just on an interview and I was talking about this, and I was talking about that I have employees sometimes and they just don't like change. They're so comfortable with the way things are. Why do you keep changing things? So it was so good. Just leave it as it is. And I'm thinking, if there is a better way, you want me to keep it this way when we could do it better over here. That does not compute for me. I have a difficult time with that because I want to get better every day. And if there's somebody saying, no, 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 no change, no change, then there's no room for improvement. There's no room for growth. And we need to, well, we don't need to. We can stay where we are. We can stay where you are. You can stay where you are, wherever you want to stay. But for me and my house, I want to serve the Lord and I want to do what He wants me to do. And if He wants me to pivot, if He wants me to change, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do whatever I need to do in order to be all He wants me to be. And sometimes people don't like that. Sometimes in life, it rubs people the wrong way. With employees, we'll be doing things in the computer. They're so easy. They've got the software program and whatever. And then I'll think, why are we doing that? Why are we doing it? That's a key word right there. Why? Why are we doing that? If we didn't do that, what would happen? I remember when I bought my company a long time ago in 2000, I went to each person that had a position of importance for sure. And I asked them every single procedure they were doing, and it's time to do this again. But I went to every procedure and I'll say, okay, what do you do when this happens? What do you do when you do an inspection? Then the paperwork comes back. Then what do you do with that? Then what do you do after that? And what do you do after that? And they would tell me, oh, we do this and we put it in this book and we do this and do that and whatever. And I'll say, why? Why do you do that? And they'll say, oh, because ba-da-da-da-da. And they have the why behind it. So they are comfortable in what they're doing, how they're doing it, because it's comfortable for them. And they believe it's what they've always done. And I'm like, well, what if we didn't do that and we're doing this instead? Would that affect anything else? Because you have to follow procedure, follow whatever it is, all the way to the end to see the ripple effect or to see how it's going to affect everything else. Does that make sense? I hope so. So whenever there's change, we have to ask why. Why are we changing? Why is this so important that we change? And if we get the answer that it's going to be better for us, it's going to be better for procedure, it's going to be more efficient, it's going to be more effective, it's going to cost us less, we're going to get more, we'll have more time on our hands if we don't waste this time on this. If those are the issues in business, okay, then that's a good thing, right? As long as we're not skipping a beat, if we're not missing something that's going to cause us to lose information, lose a customer, any of that would not be good to change our procedures. But if it's not that, and if we got rid of this and it's still going to present and be effective, then why not? But the why is why it's important, is that we have to understand the why behind things in our personal lives, okay? If we realize that a belief system or something that we used to do, that there might be a better way to think, there might be a better way to do, a better way to act, a better way in any way. If we learned that by going, okay, how does this affect that? How does what we're doing right now, or what we're doing, what we're saying, what we're eating, it could be anything. It's very big. But if we want to make a change, we got to say, how does this affect this? And then if we didn't do that, what would be the effect? And if we go through this analogy and if we go through this, I think we're going to find that sometimes the change would be a good thing, don't you think? It would be. So you think about something that you are wrestling with right now. Just something that you're wrestling with in your personal life, something that you've been doing forever. Maybe not even realizing you've been doing it forever, but it's something you've been doing a long time and it's worked for you. But maybe it doesn't have to work for you, or maybe it's not working for you as well as it did at one time. Like a child that has a tantrum, okay, you grow up and you still have tantrums. Would that be as effective as an adult as it is as a child? The child would get the response they wanted, oh, don't cry, or whatever it is. But when you get to be an adult, the reaction probably is a lot different. Then there's, I did this analogy earlier on another interview I had earlier, and I was talking about my grandchildren and how, I'll say, no, you're not, I don't want you to cross the street without an adult. You need to hold the adult's hand. And my little granddaughter goes, well, why, Grandma? Why, Gigi? Why do I have to do that? And then I get down to her level on my knees, eye to eye, and I'll just say, honey, I love you so much that I don't want anything to happen to you, and I want to protect you. And the way I can do that is if I look for you until you learn how to look for yourself, you have to look both ways before you cross the street. And until I see that you do that before stepping out off that curb, then you're going to hold my hand until I see that you're capable, you can do it yourself. Oh, okay, Gigi, here's my hand. And she gives me her hand, and we skip across the street. And that's great. But she had to know the why. She had to know the why, that I didn't want you to get hurt. A car could come and hit you, and I don't want that to happen to you. But I had to give the why. And once I gave the why, and that I loved her so much that I wanted to protect her, then she felt totally okay with giving me her hand and walking across the street with me. And sometimes things are that easy. At work, when I make a change in procedure, I make a change on how I want something done, I hope I always, that's a big word, always and never. You should never say always and never say never. But I'm saying that I make a point to give people the why. Why? Because I want them to be empowered to understand the thinking behind it, not just robotic, we click here, we click there, you do this, you do that. If they don't know the why, then when something is a little different than the normal entry or whatever, they're going to go, I'm not sure what to do here. Or they do it the same way and it doesn't have the same result. It doesn't have a good result because they were just doing the steps without thinking about what those steps did. Does that make sense? I hope so. So when you refuse to change, you end up in chains. I think a lot of this could be with healing too. Healing. Because when we don't forgive those that have trespassed against us, if we don't forgive people that have done things, maybe they don't even realize they did it. Okay, have you ever had your feelings hurt and you know the other person doesn't even realize they hurt your feelings? Me too. Me too, quite often actually. People think I'm so strong, but I have feelings. And you have feelings. We all have feelings, and they can get hurt. And it could be a simple statement. It could be a simple tone. It could be just anything. And I know that I come on strong because of my position, I guess. I don't know. But I understand, too. We have to be empathetic. We have to be, considering other people and their feelings. And I think sometimes I need to work on that. I do. I need to work on that. I'm just being real with you. So I'm reading from this book because I think this book is so great, and it's short, sweet, and it helps me put things in perspective a little bit, even more than what I've already explained to you. It's from John Mason, 7-time, it's probably more than that now, #1 Amazon best-selling author. You can look him up, John Mason. I met him one time, and he's helping me write another book, but I've only met him in person one time. Okay, and here's what he says. Are you ready? This is him, not me. But I love what he says. Okay, when you refuse to change, you end up in chains. You are custom built for change. Sometimes it doesn't feel that way, does it? An inanimate object, like an article of clothing, doesn't have the ability to truly change. It grows out of style and becomes unusable. But any one of us is able to change at any point in time, at any age. That's actually a good thing. Changing doesn't always mean doing the opposite. In fact, most of the time it means adding to or slightly adjusting what already exists. When the Lord calls us to change, perhaps we may continue to reach toward the same goal, but in a slightly different way. When we refuse to cooperate with the change God requires of us, we make chains of delay that constrain and restrict us. Here are 3 things we know about the future. First, it isn't going to be like the past. At least I hope not. Second, it isn't going to be exactly the way we think it's going to be. Third, the rate of change will take place faster than we anticipate. The Bible indicates that in the end times in which we are now living, I believe, changes will occur more quickly than ever before in history. Boy, isn't that the truth? In 1803, the British created a civil service position that required a man to stand on the cliffs of Dover with a spyglass. His duty was to be a lookout against invasion. He was to ring a bell if he saw Napoleon armies approaching. The job was appropriate at the time, but it wasn't eliminated until 1945. How many spyglasses on the cliffs of Dover are we still holding on to in our lives? We shouldn't let the way we are accustomed to doing things interfere with the opportunities God is providing for us today. I'm going to stop right now because just a thought came to my mind. I heard this story, and I think it's so fitting because of the time we're in right now, is the great-grandmother. She had a turkey, and she cut the turkey and put it in the pan and stuck it in the oven. Her daughter would have Thanksgiving, and she would cut the turkey to fit the pan and put it in the oven. And then the next daughter, of that mother, she did it, and she cut the turkey and stuck it in the oven. And the daughter of this daughter said, "Mom, why are you cutting the turkey?" And she says, "Because we've always done that. My mom, my great grandmother, and everybody." She goes, "It's probably because the pan back then was smaller, and it was all that was going to fit." In fact, they asked the great grandmother, "Why did you cut the turkey, this way?" And she says, "Oh, honey, it's because the pan we had and the stove we had would only fit that size turkey. So they had to cut things off." So this is a point of change. The reason they did it is because it worked then, but it doesn't work now. We can put the whole turkey in there, not cut the legs and the whatever's off. Doesn't that make sense? Nothing remains as constant as change. Even the most precious of all gems needs to be chiseled and faceted to achieve its best luster. Don't end up like concrete, all mixed together and permanently set. In Isaiah, the Lord declares, "Behold, the former things have come to pass, and new things I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them." The Bible is a book that tells us how to respond to change ahead of time. You see, I believe we can decide in advance how we will respond to most situations. It's true, we can decide. We have a choice. When I was coaching basketball, this is him, not me, many years ago, I told my players that they could prepare for many situations ahead of time. We used to practice as many game situations as we could, so they would already know how to respond when they found themselves in the actual situations. This one idea really helped our team to be very successful. I did the same. I coached my kids soccer, and we did the same thing. We came up with as many options that could happen in any given situation, and we would work through those as practice tools. One of the main reasons the Bible was written was to prepare us ahead of time, to teach us how to respond in advance to many of the situations we would encounter in life. Choose to flow with God's plan. Be sensitive to the new things He's doing. Stay flexible to the Holy Spirit and know that our God directs, adjusts, moves, and corrects us. He is always working to bring us into perfection. That is so good. And I turned to today on Sarah Young, and I thought, how appropriate. I just looked at the very beginning of this, and I thought, I need to read this today. So you're listening to the Sue Fries Show. Sue Fries, spelled like fries, oneword.com. If you're new, welcome. And if you've been with me a long time, please share the show. Please let people know about this show. And this show is, it goes to, I think, 7 different stations, and sometimes 2 on a station, 2 times on one station. And it's growing. So we're on country, we're on secular, and we're on Christian. And I'm very excited. We've been on for 14 years now. And if somebody would have told me that when I first got started on this show, I would have said, first of all, I did say, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to call it? And when am I going to fit this in? And 14 years later, here I am. So I'm doing what God has asked me to do. It is a labor of love. If you'd like to sponsor this show, let me know and we can talk about that. Anyway, let me read this. This is a time of abundance in your life. Okay, just let that resonate. You could say that over and over in your mind and your soul would hear you. And I'm telling you, it would change your mindset. This is a time of abundance in your life. And it is. It's what you believe. Your cup runneth over with blessings. Do you believe that? Your cup runneth over with blessings. I was on with my inspectors this morning, and we had a conference call, and one of the gentlemen, his name is Dave, he's in Orange County, he says, I'm just grateful. I am grateful that I work for this company. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful that I got up today, and I love this time of year, and I'm just so grateful. And I thought, wow, we all need a shot of gratefulness. So Dave, I'm going to have you, talk to us every week just to give us that grateful reminder that we need a shot of that every single day, maybe every single hour. I don't know. Where are you in this? After plodding uphill for many weeks, you are now traipsing through lush meadows drenched in warm sunshine. I want you to enjoy. This is Jesus talking to you, by the way. This is Jesus talking to you. I want you to enjoy to the full this time of ease and refreshment, to the full, this time of ease and refreshment. I delight in providing it for you. Sometimes my children hesitate to receive my good gifts with open hands. Feelings of false guilt creep in, telling them they don't deserve to be so richly blessed. This is nonsense thinking, because no one deserves anything from me. My kingdom is not about earning and deserving. It's about believing and receiving. Did you hear that? You don't have to earn this. Did you catch that? You can't do enough good to earn what he's talking about right now. It's believing and receiving. This is a time of abundance in your life. Your cup runneth over with blessing. If you just wrote that down and said it over and over and over again, I guarantee you your frown might go to a smile. You would feel better about who you are, your circumstances. Even when everything might look grim, you still would understand the hope and the faith that is yours. When a child of mine balks at accepting my gifts, I'm deeply grieved. When you receive my abundant blessings with a grateful heart, there it is, I rejoice. A grateful heart. Did you hear that? My pleasure in giving and your pleasure in receiving flow together in joyous harmony. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. That's probably the most important scripture as far as people that don't understand God, and that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. That's on the bottom of every in and out cup, by the way, John 3:16, and that's the verse. So I say to you, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives. He who seeks finds, and him who knocks, the door will be open. Did you hear that? He who did not spare his own Son, but gave him up for us all, how will he not also, along with him, graciously give us all things? If you want the scripture addresses, I could give them to you. I want you to connect with me by going to SueFries.com. Sue Fries, spelled like fries, one word.com. Go there, connect with me. Tell me how this has affected you or not affected you. Just tell me. I want to hear from you. So please connect with me. Just remember, Sue Fries, spelled like fries, one word.com. Please go to the website. There are I ams there. The I ams are 3 pages of I ams that says, God says you are. It says who God says you are. I am created. I am anointed. I am forgiven. I am. I'm a child of God. It tells you these things. And if you read these out loud and let your mind and your soul and your spirit hear these words, they will replace old records that you've been playing in your head, and it will change you from the inside out. inside out. It will change you. So please, please get them. They're yours. The I ams. Just push print and you will be blessed. I believe you will blessed and you'll receive blessings from him. Because if you don't know this, let me just tell you that you were created. You were created by God, and you were created for a specific purpose. And he wants you to fulfill your purpose. And when you get into your purpose, when you feel good about what you're doing and why you're doing it, there's that why again, you will see that things will change in your life. And it's usually things that God has gifted you in, things that you're good at anyway. But when you get in touch with what your purpose is here on this earth, it changes your momentum. It changes your go power. It changes your belief system. It changes your abundance. Your cup runneth over. Because when things get tough, the tough keep going. But they only can keep going if they know the goal, they know the direction they need to go in order to keep going and to stay strong in their belief and their faith. And I hope that you're hearing this. I'm hoping that this can change even minutely, just a little bit. If it changes just a little bit, that's change. And change is good. It's not bad. Sometimes people think change is bad. But change is good. Not all change. I mean, sometimes change, like we could say losing your job. It's change and it's not good. But is it not good? Maybe there's a better job right around the corner. For every door that closes, another door opens. So maybe losing the job was really a big good thing. And you just looks bad right now. Maybe a relationship that goes bad, a relationship that's off, a relationship, maybe it's the right thing. Maybe that's what's supposed to happen. I don't know your situation. God does. We have to do our due diligence in anything and everything. But I know that change is good. And I believe that change is good. So you have to decide for yourself whether you're going to embrace change or you're going to fight it. Even if you fight change, just understand, even by this show, change is going to happen anyway, whether you like it or not. And what you do with the change is where your difference is going to be. You know, how you evaluate it, how you understand it, how you fit into it, what you can do with it, where you can go with it, understanding the why behind it so that you can embrace it or not. It's up to you. I like the choices that we get to make. I think choices are good, and God gave us that freedom of choice to even choose Him. Isn't that amazing? He gave you that choice to choose Him or not. And I ask people when I'm in the elevator, I don't know who they are, I was like, where are you going to go when you die? It's a good question. Ask yourself that. So, where are you going to go when you die? Be a blessing to someone today. God bless, and stay tuned for part 2.
When I was 2 years old, I had a life-threatening asthma attack.
And as a mom, I was worried. It was a big reason for pioneering our eco-friendly pest and termite treatments. With our dynamic selection of non-chemical and alternative treatments, we achieve effective results that fit the concerns for the health of your families, children, pets, and the environment.
From San Diego to San Luis Obispo, when you have a pest problem, call today.
E-Cola.
Powerful termite and pest control.
As gentle as a butterfly.
Termite for sponsoring this show. I am so thankful to be part of the E-Cola team. And if you'd like to sponsor this show, we'd love to hear from you. I want to know how we can help. I've been advertising a long time, and I can tell you that it benefits a lot. Just get, you got to get more people. You got to, we're always looking for more customers. We want the word to get out, right? We want everybody to know. We want everybody to know about your company. And so if you're only in, let's say, San Diego, or you're only in Santa Maria, or you're only in Ventura County, we can help you with that too. Even though our radio show goes up and down the state of California, and in the internet goes all over the place, which is amazing to me, we can designate an area so that you're not getting people that you can't serve, and we can talk to you about it. So without wasting any more time on that, connect with me by going to Sue Fries, spelled like fries, one word.com. Sue Fries, spelled like fries, one word.com, and we'll be happy to talk to you about that. So today, we are talking about everything big starts with something little. And this is part 2 of a part 1, part 2. So I'm changing subjects because I really think we need to talk about this. So everything big starts with something little. The first part 1, I was talking about change, and change is so good. And sometimes people resist change. And in part 1, I was talking about that and how, how we receive things and how we respond to things can make or break any relationship, anything. So it's really important that we embrace change, but I think it's important that we need to understand the why behind the change. And sometimes we can get that why, and sometimes it takes a little while for that to resonate or to be understood. So, but we need to be searching for the why. And I think that's good. I wanted to bring up the book that I wrote on change because I forgot about this. I don't know why I forgot about it, but I did. But this is a book on change, and I wrote it, and you can get this on the SueFries.com site, Sue Fries, spelled like fries, one word.com. I also wrote another book. It's called Learning to Breathe. It was my first book. Oops. And I wrote it when I had a major shattered leg, and I couldn't walk. I wasn't expected to walk. They said there's a very big possibility I wouldn't walk. And I dance. I'm a competitive dancer. I water ski. I horseback ride. I do all these things, and they all are leg things. They're all legs. I need my legs. So I was bound and determined to not only walk, but do the splits because I do that dancing, or, do all the things that I did before. I wanted to do them again. It took a long time, let's see, I'm back on the horse again as of 2023, back on water skiing, I think 2022. So it's taken since 2011 to 22, that was, do the math. It's taken that long for me to get back, but I'm back and I can do these things, and it's because I had a great surgeon, and I had a wonderful God, and I still have my wonderful God, and I still have my wonderful surgeon. He's so wonderful. I'm so thankful, and I had 2 surgeons in my leg for 16 hours, and they just made my leg whole again with putting a metal plate, 10 pins, and blah, blah, blah. So I realized that the physical therapy, because that was change for me, wasn't it? That was total change for me. And I could say, oh, poor me, victim, wah. Or I could say, what did I gain? What did I learn from that change? And I can tell you that being in a wheelchair, for a long time, not really. It was temporary compared to people that are in it for a lifetime. Mine was very temporary. But during that time, I got to feel what it felt like and how people responded to me in a wheelchair. And I can tell you that was a big change for me because I'm used to being, walking around, talking to everybody at a party. And when you have a wheelchair, you have to get your wheelchair out of the way. You can't be in the center of the room. You can't be you have to be on the outside, like in a corner somewhere, so you're not impeding upon traffic. And so I learned that. I learned that Costco has a special desk that comes out at your level way down there, which I never would have known, to sign or to do anything. I learned how to ride an electric scooter and electric, whatever you call those things, in Costco. I ran out the battery going up and down the aisles. Funny story. And I was yelling, hello, because it was a very quiet time. I went when there wasn't a lot of people around. And I ran the battery out of battery, electric, and they had to come save me in an aisle. I thought that was funny. I have a lot of funny stories. Anyway, with all that being said, that was a big change for me, and I could embrace it, or I can say, woe is me, and I'm embracing it. Why? Because I learned those things, and I learned how to be more compassionate or empathetic to other people that are going through things in wheelchairs. I always smile. I always say, how did that happen? I didn't used to do that. I used to not look at them. I wouldn't make eye contact, and I just felt uncomfortable because I didn't know what their situation was, and I didn't want to bring up something or whatnot. And now I'm totally different, and I totally understand a lot more. I see elderly people in their walkers, and I'll say, oh, do you like the brakes on that? Because I used to have a walker, and I loved having my brakes because I lived on a hill, and I needed those brakes or I would have I would have taken off, or it would have taken off without me. And I loved having the seat in mind. So there's different models for walkers, and I loved having the seat because I needed a rest every once in a while. And so I'm telling you all this, because I learned some things that give me compassion and empathy for other people. And when I talk about it with them, they kind of chuckle saying, oh, you know what you're talking about. I'm like, yes, I do. Been there, done that. And going on, I'm probably going to need them again, and I'm going to be a lot more prepared because I've already been there, done that. And that's change, right? And, the why is, it's easy to understand the why there. I couldn't put my weight on my leg for a while, and it needed healing. And during that time and that change, I had the choice of going, oh my gosh, am I ever going to get better? Am I ever going to, because, the outward appearance didn't feel like there was anything going on, but I kept saying, I'm getting better every day. And it was, I'm getting better every day in my head that caused my leg to heal. I really believe that. And it was God's help and God's strength and my surgeon's help and the people around me, surrounding me, that helped me get through a tough time. But was my mind, my mindset, which is so important. People say you're so into self-help. And I'm like, that doesn't make me not a Christian. It just means that God gave me a brain, God gave me a soul, and God gave me a spirit. And I use my strength with His help. Always, it's His help. I get His help to walk me through and talk me through whatever it is I'm going through His Word, through prayer, and through the people that He surrounds me with. And sometimes, side note, golden nugget here, there might be people in your life that need to be in an outer circle. Just know that. But everything big starts with something little. Do you agree with that? What am I talking about? Okay, I'm reading from An Enemy Called Average. Would you say you're average? I'm going to say I'm not average. And I'd also say I'm uncommon. And that's not a bad thing. To be different. I just got nominated for, a disruptor. Now, some people would be offended by that. I'm not offended by being a disruptor. Now, there's a time and a place to be a disruptor. And I think I am mannerly and kind of read the room. But there are times when we need to step up and speak out. Yes, you. You and I have a voice, and even though you might not think you do, you do. You do. Did you use it? Do you use it? Are you gonna use it? I hope so. Did you vote? Don't complain if you didn't vote. Every successful person I know is very good at doing the small things well. When Jesus told the parable of the talents, He referred to a servant who had multiplied his master's money. The master responded to the servant, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. Matt 25:23, if you're looking for the address in the Bible. On another occasion, God asked the prophet, for who has despised the day of small things? There is power in taking small steps. See, I know this firsthand. I had to take small steps. I had to take baby steps. I had to learn how to walk all over again. So if anybody knows how to take baby steps, it's me. Because my leg didn't have weight on it for a very long time, I think 6 months, and it atrophied. So I had to get the muscles back in my leg because they were really skinny and it looked deformed. And I had to, little by little, learn how to walk. Now, I have grandkids and they're learning how to walk anywhere from, 8 months to a year and a half. And they're not thinking about, they just want to get from point A to point B. They crawl really fast, then they get up and they start walking and fall down until they walk a few more steps and then they fall down. And that's kind of how I felt when I was learning how to walk all over. But I took the opportunity, and this is the key. I said, I never liked how I walked. I didn't. So this is a perfect time, since I didn't think about how I walked when I learned when I was 2 or less. I'm going to take the time to walk the way I want to walk. So I did. And I had a person who would watch me walk after doing little exercise, muscling, pressing on certain muscles and tendons, and she'd close her eyes and she'd feel and she'd push and put pressure on. It was amazing what she did. I don't even know what you call that. But she worked out like little things in my leg. Then she'd go, get up. Now let's walk. And at first she had to hold my arm and give me the power and the strength and the support to get me to do that. And then she let go of me, like I'm doing with my granddaughter, learning how to ride her bike. And little by little, I got better and better and better. Now she said, I need you to roll your foot. Why am I telling you all this? Because everything starts little. But we have to take the baby steps. What is in your life right now? Yes, you. What is in your life right now that you're afraid to take the baby steps? You're afraid. You know that you have to get from point A to point B. You know what it is in your life that you need to move forward on. And you feel stuck. You feel stuck. I've been there. Believe me, I've been there, done that. I felt so stuck. I felt like there was no options for me. But there was options for me. And sometimes the choosing to do nothing is a choice too. But there's A, B, and there's nothing. And nothing is still a choice. So with you, think about it. What is it that you know inside your heart, in your soul, in your mind, that you need to make a change? You need a change. Could be just you personally, or it could be a relationship, it could be a job, it could be many things. It could be forgiving somebody that you just refuse to forgive. It could be just so many different things. Having that tough conversation, that conversation that you're just dreading so badly to have, but you know you have to have it. And the longer you wait, the more time has passed. And we're not guaranteed tomorrow. Nobody is. Nobody's guaranteed tomorrow. You only have today. So what are you doing? What are you doing with today? Are you taking care of the issues you need to take care of? Many people aren't moving with God today simply because they were not willing to take the small steps He placed before them. You should leap at the opportunity, no matter how small, to move in the direction the Lord calls you. Did you hear that? You should leap. Leap of faith. You need to leap. What is God calling you to? What is God telling you to get away from? You know. You absolutely know. Yes, I'm talking to you. God's talking to you through me. If you're called to be a youth pastor and are merely sitting at home waiting for an invitation from a large church, it will never come. You need to find the first young person you can. Put your arm around him or her and begin to minister. Start small. Yep. Don't be afraid to take small steps. The Bible promises us that if we are faithful in small matters, one day we will be rulers over many larger things. Many times the impossible is simply the unacted upon small opportunity. I'm going to pause. I'm going to tell you, I got asked, I got married, and right after I got married, my new husband says, my dad wants to get out of the pest control. No, my dad's partner wants to get out of the pest control business, and he's asking if we want to join him. And I said to him, and he said, I know you wanted to be in ministry and work together in ministry, but why not bugs? And I'm like, bugs? Are you kidding me? I'm in the fashion world. You want me to get into bugs? I'm like, okay, so what is the commitment? What's the sacrifice? And for how long? Was my question. And he says, we'll probably work really hard for 3 years. And then we'll sit back and we'll just hand out the checks and, that type of thing. Okay, that was a long time ago. Like a really long time ago, like 43 years ago. Yeah, that long. And I still haven't had that sending out the checks and just sitting back and doing nothing. I don't even know what that seems like. I don't even know. But during that time when I first got started, let me tell you, the baby steps for me was, I said, okay, 3 years, okay, I can do that. All right. So I said, I'm going to start going to the office and I'll start answering the phone because I don't know anything about bugs other than I don't like them. And so I came in and I started answering the phone and I started answering the questions the best I could, not knowing what I was talking about. And then I learned. I learned the questions and I learned the answers, the right answers. And then I got better and better at it because I started by just picking up the phone. I just had to pick up the phone. And then from there, things started to happen. And did I know everything? No. But you have to start somewhere. So that's where I started. And now guess where I am? I'm the owner of a pest control company that's a top 100 company in North America. Do I say that to brag? No, not at all. I say that because I started answering the phone. I didn't know anything about the business at all. And now here I am. So baby steps. And I say bloom where you're planted. Because bugs is not where I would have chosen to be. I would not have. It would have been, I don't know, I don't think it would have been in my top 50. But here I am, and I'm thankful for every minute of it. I love what I do. And here I am on the radio now. Okay, how did that happen? Well, I was advertising on KKLA and a couple of other Salem stations. And then the general manager or sales manager, Bob Hastings, yes, sales manager, I think. Sorry, Bob. Bob Hastings says, hey, we need to have lunch. I said, you pay? And he said, yes. I said, okay, I'll be there. That's exact what happened. Went to lunch, and I was seated already, or I would have fallen over. But he said, I've been praying about it, but I think you're supposed to have your own radio show. And I said, you're crazy. When am I going to do that? I work 16-hour days. What am I going to talk about, and what am I going to call it? He says to me, he looks over at me with his little smile, and he says, you'll figure it out. You and God will figure it out. And I'm like, okay. And that was 14 years ago. And I'm like, wow, look at how things happen. So many times the impossible is simply the unacted upon small opportunity. I remember a time in my life when I was frozen. This is him, John Mason, talking. I remember a time in my life when I was frozen with fear over what God had called me to do. It seemed so huge, a task that I was unable to bring myself to face. A friend, sorry, I'm turning a page here so I can read. A friend came to me and spoke 2 words that broke that paralysis in my life. He said, do something. I'm going to tell you that. Do something. Anything. You know, nothing happens without movement. I'm a dancer, right? Nothing happens without movement. It can be the slightest move, the slightest change of a head, the slightest breath, breathing in, breathing out is movement. The tiniest step, a word, a phone call. Do something. And then he walked out of my house. That day, I did something. My first small step started momentum in my life, and I began to run toward the vision God had for me. Those 2 words were a turning point in my life. Can I just say to you, and hopefully it's a turning point for you, do something. Do something. You have something. It might be a dream you've snuffed. You've pushed it down and pushed it down. No, it can't be me, not right now, not a good time. And you've snuffed it down, you pushed it down, and you're not moving. You're not moving in the direction that God wants you to move. Do something. If you're at a point of paralysis in your life because of what God wants you to do, my word for you today is do something. Don't worry about the goal. Just take the steps that take you past the starting point. Soon you'll get to a point of no return. As you climb higher, you'll be able to see much farther. I hope my little story is an encouragement for you, and it's intention. Everything starts with intention. The how-to kind of just happens, but the intention, the goal, where you're headed, it's in your mind. God placed it there. Your purpose is in your mind. You've got it. It might be in your heart because he put something that doesn't completely snuff out because it's in your heart and it needs to be fulfilled. We should all learn to grow wherever we're planted. Oh, that's so funny. Grow where you're planted. What did I say? I bloomed where I was planted. And that's what we need to do. We should all learn to grow wherever we're planted. So whatever you're doing now, you need to grow in that. You need to grow in it. You need to be the best you, no matter where you are. As you begin, don't be afraid. Eric Offer said, fear of becoming a has-been keeps some people from becoming anything. Don't let that be you. Don't let fear, the acronym, false evidence appearing real. Don't let fear get you. Don't let it. There is fear. There's really good fear. The fear of getting hit by a car and avoiding that. The fear of getting on a motorcycle, afraid that there's going to be a problem. You know, the statistics are there could be, God forbid. Every great idea is impossible from where you are starting today, but little steps add up, and they add up rapidly. Most people don't succeed because they are too afraid to even try. Don't let that be you. Don't miss your opportunity. Don't. Do something. They don't begin due to the fear of failure. So what? So what if you fail? So what? I failed, but you get back up again. I got thrown from my horse, shattered my leg. Took a long time, but I got back up and got back on. Many times the final goal seems to be unreachable, and we don't even make an effort. But once you've made your decision and boldly taken a step forward, you're more than halfway there. God will begin with you today, no matter what your circumstances. I hope this has been encouraging for you, and I hope you do something, and I hope you reach out to me. Go to Sue Fries, spelled like fries, oneword.com. Connect with me and tell me what's going on in your life. Tell me how this show has encouraged you to do something. Tell me how change was inevitable, but you made a decision to change from rebuking it or putting a deadlock on it to asking the question why. Why the change? Why is this good? Why is it good for my family? Why is this good for my business? Why is this good as an employee? Why? Why is good? Have that conversation. It might be a tough one, but it's good. It's a good one to have. Open up the conversation with those that you need to have a conversation with, to where you can just be real, be genuine, be vulnerable, as I am, and let people know that this is the concerns, this is the worry I have. I had a really good conversation with Kim today about concerns she has. And we had a really good conversation. And I think it's so important that we have these conversations because it opens up dialogue. It opens up feelings, compassion, empathy, understanding. And isn't that what we all want? You know, we all bleed the same. Did you know that? Did you know we all bleed the same? You get cut, you bleed. Doesn't matter color, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We all bleed the same. We all have a heart. We all have feelings. We all have a voice. We have a brain, and we need to use it for common sense, okay? I have a shirt that says refund common sense. And I think the shirt is so great because we do need to have common sense. If it makes sense, then it's probably a good idea. If it doesn't, if you look at history, do you want history to repeat itself or do you want it to be different? I want us to be better every minute of every day. And the way to do that is to embrace change. So do something. Be a blessing. God bless you. Until next week. Bye.